So hey, I really enjoyed talking about the universe and space and stars and greenhouse gases and all that stuff, so I think I'm going to do some more of that in this episode. So without further ado, I'm Sparkleback, like Nickelback and SparkleDart, come together at last, the combination everybody was waiting for. I am back, SparkleDart, to talk about greenhouse gases. But actually I'd more like to talk about the universe. So the thing is about the universe is that this is something that I've always been interested in as a human boy. I read about something called the cosmic background radiation, which if you were to look at the universe in a very far-reaching distance through the, I think it's the X-rays or something like that. Cosmic ray is a term that doesn't mean anything to me because it's not something that's on the electromagnetic scale. It's just a very general term that explains like electromagnetic radiation that is happening in the universe at any given time and at every given time, because everything in the universe basically lets out radiation in some degree. All stars, all planets, all pulsars, all black holes, they all let out some sort of radiation, and radiation is super important, I guess, in some ways, because it basically means that there's energy being released, and without energy to be released, there would be no way for us to live in this universe. Energy is super important, and energy likes to spread itself out in something called, what's the term? Entropy. So entropy is basically the homogenization of energy in the universe trying to spread itself out into a very uniform state. Because entropy is the chaos of the universe, and entropy wants to be zero, but if it's not zero, then it has to recuperate itself for the fact that it is not zero. So entropy is what happens when like things decay. Things in the universe decay. Everything decays. Electrons decay, neutrons decay, protons, photons, they all decay. It takes some a lot longer than others. Electrons have been around since the very beginning. Electrons were the first thing that happened. There was a dense fog of electrons right after the Big Bang that clouded the universe, and then when the universe eventually became either large enough or suitable enough for those electrons to stop forming complex atoms is when the cosmic background radiation began to appear. And the cosmic background radiation is basically the remnants of that electron fog that are so far away they're basically on the border of the expanding universe and our own observable universe, because the universe is expanding and there are parts of the universe that are expanding away from us faster than the speed of light, and because of that those parts of the universe we'll never see, but there's like a very fine line of parts of the universe that fall both between the observable and the expanding universe, and that part is the the cosmic background radiation. It's right there in the center for you to see if you got the right equipment to see it, and it gives our universe a definitive age of like 13.9 billion years, because that's how far away it is, and that's how far it takes for that electromagnetic radiation to reach our planet for us to observe it, because that's how we tell how far away something is the electromagnetic radiation. Now, electromagnetic radiation is something that happens here on Earth too. The magnetic pole, I think, is some sort of electromagnetic radiation. Everything gives off some sort of thermal radiation. Like if you look at something that's kind of warm, like maybe a stove coil that's heating up in the dark, you can see it when it's starting to get warmer, and it turns a very dark shade of red, and you can see it glowing. And when you see it glowing, that's that coil giving off not necessarily electromagnetic radiation, but thermal radiation. And thermal radiation and electromagnetic radiation are basically the same principle. Not to say that they're the same thing, they're just the same principle. So electromagnetic radiation is light and spectrography and all sorts of stuff like that, whereas thermal radiation is just heat coming from molecules that are vibrating way too fast, so those molecules are releasing themselves off of the source material, is what is happening with thermal radiation. I believe. I might not be 100% on that one, because it's a field that I've never read into. I don't know anything about it. I'm just guessing. Everything that I've said so far has been just like a wild guess. So after that point, I guess we can move on to the next topic, which would be if I'm going to continue talking about the universe and stuff like that, which I really want to do because, let me tell you, I'm kind of interested in that. Pardon me. Despite not knowing that much about it. It's just something that as a little baby boy I've always been super fascinated with. Like there's 9 planets, and then there's 8 planets, and then there's 7 planets, and then other stars in the universe. Okay, so there's a bunch of stars that are much bigger than our sun. Our sun, I've heard that it said that it was a very average size for a white dwarf star. I'm actually not sure if our sun is a white dwarf or yellow dwarf. I don't know the difference. Just different points in a sun's life cycle, I guess. But other stars like Aldebaran and Betelgeuse and Canis Majoris, which we can all see here from Earth, are much bigger than our own sun, and some are binary stars, which means that they're part of a 2-star system. There's 2 stars orbiting each other, and binary star systems, believe it or not, can have their own planets that orbit them. Hold on, I'm concentrating real hard on this situation right now. Binary star systems have something called the baryonic center of gravity, which is basically, okay, so the sun, despite being as big as it is just part of a system of gravity that it's the center of everything in the universe getting hit by a spiky arm. It's the center of everything in the solar system weighing its gravity on everything else in the solar system. And the baryonic center of the sun actually lays outside of the sun's surface, which means that all the material in the solar system... Hold on, this is kind of difficult to concentrate while doing this. All of the material in the solar system provides a center of rotation right outside of the sun. So the sun wobbles, as does everything else in the universe. They all wobble because of the gravity that surrounds them. I might just, like, kind of stop talking here for a minute because this is actually very intense and I'm having a hard time concentrating on saying things and talking at the same time. Okay, so... Okay, baryonic center of gravity. It's the center point at which all matter that orbits one another orbits this one point. Now, it looks like everything is orbiting the sun only because it's the largest thing and it's the closest to the baryonic center of gravity. Alright, so actually what happens is the sun itself orbits this baryonic center of gravity itself because it is not outside of... It is not within the sun's surface, it is outside of the sun's surface. So it goes wobble, wobble, wobble. That's what the sun does. That's what everything else around the sun does too. And we can use that to kind of understand gravity better, and we can use that to understand, I guess, our own place in the universe better, because everything stays relatively uniform to one another, except it all orbits the supermassive black hole at the center of the universe, the Milky Way galaxy, which we I think the Milky Way galaxy is called M31 in its local group, the Virgo supercluster, whatever. Maybe it's not, maybe that's Andromeda, maybe it's a Triangulum galaxy. It's one of those galaxies. There's so many galaxies in this center. Okay, so there's like 6 or 7 galaxies now, our local group. Andromeda being the biggest, Earth's galaxy, Milky Way being the second biggest, and Triangulum being the third biggest, and everything else after that being something called a dwarf galaxy. Now, dwarf galaxies are still pretty fucking big. They're just not as big as normal spiral galaxies like we got. Like, I think the Milky Way might actually be something called a barred spiral galaxy, which means that it doesn't spiral all the way, but it's got like 2 or 3 major arms. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but obviously we can't get like a picture of the Milky Way galaxy because we're inside of it. You can't take a picture of, like if you're on the Magic School Bus, if you're going inside of Arnold to get rid of his bowel obstruction, you can't take a picture of Arnold while you're inside of his bowels, right? So obviously we can't take a picture of our own galaxy from the inside of it. We only assume that it's similar in composition to the Andromeda Galaxy, which we do have pictures of. And fun fact, it would actually be about 6 times bigger than the moon if we could see it. It's kind of far away and there's a lot of light pollution, so we can't see it, but if we could see it in all of its glory, it would be about 6 times larger than the moon in our sky. Isn't that fucking crazy? There are many pictures. I'll post one right now. You can see that picture right there on the screen. Isn't that beautiful? And that is how insignificant we really are, because that galaxy is bigger than something that we look at every day, and that galaxy is like millions and millions of light years away. We could never reach that thing in our lifetime, even if we could travel at the speed of light. Isn't that fucked up? That's so fucked up. I am so fucking messed up from learning about that. But whatever, you know, it's been real fun talking to you guys about the galaxy and the universe and all sorts of Masato Nakamura's. And I would love to do it again, but I'm going to try not to talk too much about the same sorts of things every episode that I do. Because if I do that, I'm just going to be wasting time. I'm going to be covering the same topics over and over again. And if I do that, then you're not going to want to listen to me anymore. Oh, I should also probably talk about the game I was playing. It's called Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and it's about a hedgehog who runs fast. So, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed watching this Let's Play video of me, Victor from SparkleDart, playing Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. It's only like 4 episodes, so was it 4? It's like 5 episodes. You're not missing much. Just watch the whole thing. It's not going to take you more than an hour. I promise. So, without further ado, I think I'm going to go ahead and call this one good. I've been playing this for not super long. This is actually probably the shortest one that I've done so far. But I really do hope you enjoyed it. So, I've been Victor from SparkleDart, and I'll see you again soon. Goodbye. Mwah.